Alright, so just before I get started on this, if you hear some excessive barking going on in the background, that is just my dog Anakin just being a little terror and terrorizing my fiance as per usual. But anyway, with Breaking Benjamin's impending new album coming, Ember, I just thought this would be a great opportunity just to basically share my Breaking Benjamin collection. Well, my old Breaking Benjamin collection is like heard some new tracks from like the new album, and last year I got the opportunity to finally like see them live, something I'd waited for like 15 years. That is how fucking unbelievably old I am now, or how old I feel. It's literally been 15 years I've waited to see them live, but I finally got to do it last year and it was awesome. Kind of like reignited my love and passion for the band Breaking Benjamin. Then obviously with the new album coming, which is even better, I just thought, fuck it, I'm just gonna do a little video just going over my old CD collection that I used to be really proud of, because I like went all in back in the day, just like spending hundreds and hundreds of pounds like tracking down rare Breaking Benjamin CDs and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, just to go over it, I'm going to leave this one till last, because most of you like hardcore Breaking Benjamin fans will recognise this, but we're going to go over this last because that is probably the jewel in my collection. It was before, but definitely even more so now, for reasons that I will explain very soon. So anyway, to start off with, we've got Breaking Benjamin Saturate, their first debut album way back in 2002, which was, holy crap, that's a really long time ago to think about it. I mean, that was a really, really long time ago, but yeah, that was, it's arguably my favourite Breaking Benjamin album. I think it's probably the strongest Breaking Benjamin album that they've ever released. I think that's obviously a really biased opinion, but I think it's because it was a really strong balance between heavy rock songs, you know, softer rock songs and stuff, and I think all round it was a very fun album. It was very melody orientated, and I think because of the era in which it came out, I think that really influenced the theme of the album. It was just a fun melody, you know, sort of like hard rock sort of like album. But I think it's their strongest one. But anyway, let's go on to the particulars of, you know, how I got this. I got the initial album the same way that everybody else did, but what's cool about these ones that I've got is you notice that obviously the case is a lot thicker because it's housing multiple CDs. This is going to be a little bit tricky to open because we only got one hand. Oh, let's see if I can do this. Oh, epic failing. So it opens up into multiple sort of like compartments and stuff. And anyway, so first one I collected for this one was the single Polyamorous, which was relatively easy to find back in the day. Now it's not so easy to find, to be honest. Actually, you'll probably find that most of these singles that I've got for the albums are actually very difficult to find nowadays. But anyway, so the first one I managed to track down was Polyamorous, as you can see right here. Second one was Skin. Skin was a ridiculously difficult single to find for this album. I mean, they are incredibly scarce now, and they were pretty scarce back in the day. I mean, there were a few copies like floating around on eBay and stuff like that, but yeah, they were still pretty difficult to come by. So there, I got that one, and then good, this opens up. That's brilliant. All right, Medicaid, which was probably next to Polyamorous, which was my favourite single off of was it? I think yeah, it was. Obviously, it was released as a single, but it was released as the last single. So I think Medicaid didn't really get that much it didn't get that much airplay, it didn't get that much recognition, because I think that was the last single that was released right before, it may even been during the time, even after the release of the album. So Medicate didn't really get that much recognition and stuff like that. But in regards to tracking it down, this was probably the hardest single that I could find out of the entire lot, all of the singles for it. It was the hardest one to find. So, but yeah, I managed to do it. I think I got it for about $30, something like that. Nowadays, I have no idea how much it would cost to find it. I think due to the scarceness of like these singles, that it's probably added a little bit of value to them, just because you just don't really see them as much on places like eBay and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it was damn difficult to track this particular one down. It was a little bit easier to track down Skin, but it was hella hard to track down Medicate. But I did it anyway. I did it because I was a dedicated, devoted fan back in the day, you know. Still am now, but back then I was all about this, the collector mania, just collecting every bit of rare merchandise that I could get my grubby mitts on. And this was one of them. So yeah, that's Saturate. Same deal, We Are Not Alone. Just the album, incredibly easy to find back in the day. You know, even over here in Britain and stuff, because obviously they were much more well known in the States, having only really toured in the States, etc. So obviously a lot easier to find their albums over there, but over here it was still pretty easy. So damn, well, you can see that's what we got here. So I haven't got it. So Cold. So we've got So Cold single right here. Sooner or Later. And on the back, I can't remember what the third single was. It was Rain. Yep, Rain being the third single, and obviously I managed to track that one down too. I think the most difficult single to track down in this collection was probably Sooner or Later. So Cold was actually relatively easy to find, but Sooner or Later was actually pretty difficult. I think it was probably the most difficult one behind Medicate to track down. So yeah, it's the We Are Not Alone. Phobia. Let's have a look. I'll go the front section actually opened up on this one for once. Yeah, it's the album right there. Alright. The Diary of Jane, relatively easy to track down, as it was doing a hell of a lot of circulation, both over the airways and in shops, etc. So that was relatively easy to find. Breath, second single, and probably my favourite song off the entire album. And what was this third one? And Until the End. I think that was probably the most difficult single to find out of the three, but still nowhere near as difficult to find that as it was Sooner or Later or Medicate. And then lastly, out of the albums, Dear Agony. Let's just open it up from the back. I Will Not Bow, which was really easy to find. Give Me a Sign. And Lights Out. I think Lights Out was the most difficult one to find out of those three, but still, you know, wasn't overly that difficult. And I think each of these cost me about $25 to $30 each of those singles, but well worth it. All these apparently thought so back in the day. But anyway, to get to the crown and jewel of the collection, the Breaking Benjamin self-titled EP. So many of you hardcore Breaking Benjamin fans will recognise this as the only EP that was released before they got signed to Hollywood Records and they released Saturate. So yeah, there's only a few songs on this, which is obviously standard with any EP. 5 tracks. So these are like the original versions of Home, Medicate, Polyamorous, Water and Shallow Bay. And what's also notable about this EP is that this was back in the days when Breaking Benjamin functioned as a 3-piece band. It obviously never functioned as a three-piece band again after this, because by the time that Saturate came around, they were all, the first lineup, the first proper lineup of Breaking Benjamin was formed. But this was the only time on CD, at least, where Breaking Benjamin had a formation of a three-piece. So that's definitely something else that's notable about it. There are only 2,000 of these distributed, making them pretty rare. And I was lucky enough to get my hands on one of these. I can't remember how much it cost me. It might have cost me about 100, something like that. But what's the best thing about this, and that makes it really just all around the crowning like jewel in my collection, is that, remember I said that last year I got to meet Breaking Benjamin. Well, actually I didn't say I got to see them live, but I did actually get to meet Breaking Benjamin because I had a VIP pass, which meant I actually got to do a little photo session with them, and I got to actually meet them and stuff, and like chat with them. And more importantly, Benjamin Burnley himself actually signed this to me. I actually had it with me. At the time, I didn't know that if they would be cool, the organiser would be cool if you taken certain pieces of merchandise with you to get signed. I know a lot of them can be really, really, really funny about that. They really don't like it. And when I was actually standing outside in the queue, we were all given a piece of card, and it did actually state that we weren't allowed to ask for autographs on anything. But by this point, I'd already had this CD with me. I honestly didn't know. And I just thought, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to ask him anyway. The worst that can happen is that he can say no, or somebody can jump in and say no and call me an asshole for asking. But you know what, I'd waited 15 years just to see them live, never mind like actually seeing them face to face. Thought if there's ever a chance to kind of live the fan dream and get my favourite band to sign something of mine, the most personal piece of my collection, this was the chance to do it. So I did it. And as soon as I walked up to him and like showed it him, he instantly recognised, that's obviously not just what it is, but how rare it is. He actually said, wow, these are really rare. There's only like 2,000 of these. So that's pretty awesome just to just actually have him say that, actually say, yeah, recognise it, they are rare. And then he actually offered, I didn't even ask me this offer, he said, I can sign that if you want. And obviously I was absolutely ecstatic. I was one of the first people in line to have my picture taken with them. So it was awkward as fuck, because after he said that, he asked if I can just chill out by the side and just wait till they've done the photo shoot and everything with everyone. So I sat in the corner of the room and stuff in these really comfy chairs, and as everybody else was like lining up and getting ready to have the photo taken, obviously they were looking over at me and wondering, why the hell is that guy sat right there? How come he's allowed to like have his photo taken and he's still in the same room as them? And I think there was roughly 200 of us, 200 VIPs, and literally out of everybody there, I was the only person that got something signed. So at the very least, that's something I can take away from the experience as well, as addition to everything else, is that out of 200 people, I was the only person that actually came away with something signed. As you can see, it actually has my name on it, because I know it'd be easy just to have Ben sign his name on it. But I'm not really about that. I'm not really about the whole profiting off of, artist signatures and whacking them on eBay and stuff. If I'm going to get my favourite actor or musical artist or anything like that to sign something to me, I want I'm going to do it because it's personal. I'm going to do it because it's something that's just to do with me, not because it's something I want to profit off of. And Ben respected that, because, well, for one, I told him. But yeah, he was more than happy to sign it. I didn't want anything cheesy put on there, like, to my best fan or favourite fan or number one fan or something like that. I was like, no, just something simple, just but something meaningful to me. And that's what he did. Just something simple but something meaningful to me. Just signed it directly to me, which was probably one of the most memorable moments of my life. So yeah, thank you very much to Benjamin Jackson Burnley for that, because you absolutely made my night. That was really, really awesome thing for you to do. So yeah, that's his little overview of my old Breaking Benjamin collection. I think I've got a few other things knocking about somewhere in this study, so I have to dig them out and do a little video or whatever of that as well. But yeah, that's about it. So I guess I will see you all when I choose to do another video on whatever I choose to do one on. So see you all again whenever.